Max, let's end the show on a good note, because we talked a lot about some division and some awful issues like the fracking and the killing of our planet, because that's what we're doing. We're killing this planet, aren't we?
Well, we are, and the way to get through it all is community. I mean, the way to end the fracking is community. The way to everything is community. Get along with your neighbours and all stand together. The way to 9/11 truth is community. But even if your neighbour doesn't believe in the 9/11, doesn't believe there should be a new investigation, and you do, love them anyway. Don't fight with them. Don't hate them. I mean, because if there is community, we get all things done. All problems are overcome if we can depend on each other. Now, the only reason we can't stand up against the system that enslaves us is because we don't have this community. So you've got to have community. And all the people that are speaking out against the New World Order and against the system that enslaves us, if you're just speaking out about this system and you haven't built community around you and you want to bring this system down, then what are you going to do if it comes down? What are you going to have to fall back on if you haven't got community? If you can't depend on the people around you, what are you going to do? You're going to be left without food. You're going to be left without infrastructure. You're going to be left without everything. So you've got to have this community. It's the most important thing in the world to do. Community is how we get...
Speaking of... Sorry, Max. Didn't mean to interrupt, but speaking of community, I hear the magpies in the background.
Yeah, I get a lot of birds here. I actually have to keep my doors closed. They want to come in. I have so many animals kind of visit me, and birds. It's amazing. I just kind of attract.
Well, they're a part of this community, this ecosystem, if you will, of the planet.
Well, yeah, and they all come to visit me. It's amazing. I have all sorts of animals. I actually got a barrier I got to put up across the door of my cabin to stop the animals.
How do you protect the garden from all the birds?
Oh, I got these gardens on tables. They're kind of standing up. The birds kind of get into them a little bit, but they're okay. I feed the birds lots of nuts and stuff. There's plenty of food for them around here. They don't really need to go to our gardens too much.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean to interrupt your idea on community. I just heard the birds in the background, and I was thinking that you got quite the community going on over there, and you're very active in your community, aren't you, Max?
Well, you have to be, because it's the only way through all of this stuff. Like I said, you've got to be able to depend on the people around you. And if the people next to you have a different opinion about something to you, that's okay. That's okay for them to have whatever they have. But in times of stress, in times of need, in times of political turmoil, and in times of oppression, in times of tyranny, all you have to fall back on and all you have to depend on is those people around you that you've helped and that have helped you and that you've developed a relationship with. So you've got to develop these relationships. You've got to have this community. The whole system that we live under is designed to prevent this. It's designed to divide us. It's designed to enslave us to debt and to keep us believing that acquisition is success, that the one with the most wins, and to judge each other by what we own. And it's not reality. So just move on. Don't hate people. Back to Chalie, if you're going to hate Chalie for what he did, you're just becoming what you profess to hate. Just move on from the whole thing. It's all okay. The truth will come, whatever that truth is, it will come eventually if everybody persists at it. But the only way we're ever going to achieve anything is if we stand together. So that's what we have to do. And people are allowed to have other opinions. They're allowed to have other ideas. They're allowed to be different. They're allowed to be individual, because that's essentially what makes you who you are, is that you allow yourself to be individual. And we can do this. We can absolutely do this. So I think that's what we should be concentrating on more than anything is community and concentrating on each other.
One of the coolest things about my community is that there are community gardens popping up everywhere. And it's just so awesome to, find a public space where people can grow food and share what nature provides.
Yeah, we've got them all around here. It's really, really good. That's a great thing about this area is that everybody's right into gardening, and we've got lots of community gardens, and it's a great place. It's a great thing to see. It's a great way of uniting the community, because getting in the garden and getting your hands dirty, getting in the soil, I don't know, just makes you a better human being, I think.
It's good for the soul. Speaking of gardening, what's going on down there? It's probably getting pretty cold, huh?
Well, yeah, it's the middle of winter down here, so we haven't got a lot going on at the moment. All the winter crops are in, but yeah, it's pretty cold at the moment. Although it doesn't. I mean, people are going to laugh at me for saying that. I'm in Byron Bay. It doesn't ever really get really cold here, but yeah, it's a pretty good place to live. But hey, it's cold for me. I'm used to it being warmer, so I get cold. So judge me if you will.
Yeah, I'm from South Florida, Max. I can relate. You know, it probably gets down to the 50s, but that's cold. That's cold.
Well, yeah, it is for us.
Yeah. So fair enough. All right, folks. You know, that's always funny when you're dealing with Australia versus up here in the northern hemisphere. People forget it's wintertime down there. You know.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. Well, no chemtrails though. It's been really, really good for chemtrails in the last couple of weeks.
Really?
No
That's
chemtrails for a few weeks here. I don't know what's going on. I think it might have been something to do with the volcano in Chile that shut down a lot of the airports here for a while, and they couldn't fly.
Interesting. You know, I wonder sometimes what the chemtrail schedule is. It's very hard to tell. It's always troubled me. I'm not sure, you know, when they decide to do it, what their rhyme or reason is. It's kind of perplexing.
Like it's a really, really confusing issue, and it's one of the most controversial issues out there as well. So many people believe it, so many people don't believe it. But hey, you know, the analysis is in the soil and water. That's basically it. You know, you find these amounts of aluminium and barium and stuff in the soil and water, and you think, well, they're obviously doing it. But I mean, I think it all ties in with Agenda 21. I really do. I think it ties in with the genetic manipulation of the human race because they're genetically modifying the soil by putting all this aluminium and stuff in it. Monsanto is, of course, bringing in all these aluminium-resistant...
Aluminum-resistant seeds, yeah.
Yeah, all this sort
Crazy.
of stuff. So, you know,
problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah, you destroy the groundwater. You make the soil, you know, reduce the soil to a condition where it won't grow anything with GM food. You move everybody into the cities and you just strip mine the rest of the planet. That seems to be what's going on.
That's a great assessment of what's going on, Max, and it's up to the listeners and everyone out there. I mean, it's up to humanity, I guess, to do something about it, and I thank you for doing your part, Max. Your website, thecrowhouse.com, right?
That's the one.
All right, Max. Thanks, as always, for coming on the Bob Tuskin Show.
My pleasure, brother.
Take care.